Okay, let's begin proceedings. There is no more waiting room. You can just enter. I'm only going to take English questions. Please make sure you keep your questions in English. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. We're going to start with the girl and then we're going to keep going to and fro. Boy, girl, boy, girl. Let's go with the first girl is Mariam. Assalamu alaikum in my list. Assalamu alaikum, Mariam. Okay, we have a 5-second rule. You have 5 seconds to unmute, otherwise I'll have to skip to the next person. Sabah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalamu alaikum.
Actually, I just want to share something and then ask you some questions about that. I have decided to move back to Pakistan with my kids. One of my daughter is just she is 9 years old and one is 6, and alhamdulillah one is 2 years old. So everything is they got admission in Al Huda International because my priority was the one of the schools that at least minimum they can do the Islamic they learn the Islamic values, because I'm trying myself, but I'm student of Quran from last 3 years, so I think it's not enough for me. I can't do it only by myself. I need someone, like teachers or anyone else to, get them there, because I don't have that much stamina, to be honest. So got too much discouragement from everybody. They are saying, why you are going there? There is nothing there, and the economy and everything.
Where are you right now?
I'm in UK, but inshallah on 8th of January I'm leaving, because they got admission last year. So yes, inshallah. So what do you think? I'm I'm, to be honest, I'm satisfied. I'm happy, because you can't get everything in this life. If you get everything in this life, so so but I just want to just discuss it with you to know what you think. Is it?
I think I'm gonna answer this a little bit of a detail, because this is a very common question from overseas Muslims, especially Pakistanis and Indians. Unless you know, how old are your kids, Sabah? Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me just answer, Sabah. No matter how old your kids are, unless you have a very clear 10, 15-year vision for your 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and you can actually envision a 20-year-old adult as your daughter and your son, you shouldn't be making decisions to migrate here or there. There are some certain skills, certain level of exposure that England has to offer, which Pakistan will never, and it doesn't even intend to. We don't intend to offer that. And there are some certain things in Pakistan which England will never give to our kids. So there's good and bad, pros and cons of being anywhere and everywhere right now, but there is only cons if you do not have a vision for that 25-year-old, 20-year-old adult, who is your 7-year-old child, by the way. If you cannot draw a picture of your own child with your husband and wife in your own living room and talk about it every day, of the kind of knowledge that your child requires, the kind of skill that your child requires, and the kind of attributes that you intend to develop to practice that knowledge, you shouldn't be having kids, let alone moving them here and there, because there will be a lot of confusion when you're going to migrate. This child is going to go through a lot of dissonance naturally. Any child would, if you move any child from America to England, even then he's going to go through some problems. And he's going to lose a big chunk of his personality, dent his confidence, because of the fact that he's going to be an alien in his own contemporaries, wherever he's going to move to. So for that, you need to know what kind of price are you paying for what kind of output. And if you do not have that kind of output chalked out with your wife or your husband, together, not as a parent who has some dream, unless both of them combine, write down and charter a certain plan. And it doesn't really, mean that you have to be 100% successful in all of those things in the plan, but, because things are going to go here and there, but you cannot move out of the vision. And you are going to improve that vision. You might change that vision altogether based on whatever knowledge that you're gaining yourself while you're improving your child and, helping him or her grow. So where did that vision come from? That's the real question. Unless you have a vision for your child, a picture for your daughter and son, a 30-year-old, 25-year-old, 20-year-old, you should not qualify any place, even, the farthest places like Chile or Siberia or Alaska. There's no way to qualify a place for a Muslim unless you know what that place has to offer. And if you have that vision, I'll tell you where that vision comes from, but if you have that vision, you'll know that there are some certain attributes that that place has, which other places might or might not have. You are in that place, it'll be cost effective to get that sort of knowledge, skill, or attribute, or sense, or that kind of exposure to, the worldview that the child requires based on that vision. Now, if you have that vision, you're going to get two things right away. One, you're going to get that qualifier, the qualifier of why to be at whatever place in the world. That's primary. I mean, you are there, you're an adult, you have the kids, you're married, you have a job, you have certain things going your way. So you know that culture, you know the attributes of that culture, the psychology and the grammar of that culture, you know the academic value of the people or the lack of value of the people. Secondly, you will know exactly what to gather, how to not do certain things, and certain kind of effort should not be going to your parental plan. And that'll relieve you of a lot of things, which, people who are just living on daily basis or yearly basis based on the kind of school that the kids go to. That's the worst thing that you can do to a child anyway, that you do not have a 20-year-old boy or a girl's vision in your 5-year-old, 6-year-old son or daughter. Now, once you have that vision, you'll know without me telling you what to do, where to go. So the question is, I'm sure everyone's thinking about it, where does that vision come from? Well, that vision doesn't come from anywhere but your foresight into the future. If you do not have that sense of generating that foresight into the future, then please don't get married. Don't have more kids. I'm telling you this right now. You are adding to the problem of the people who already have that foresight. And whoever has that foresight knows that the biggest problem in the future for our kids is that population that is being parented upon that haywire plan. People who had no vision, they just wanted to get some money and resources and some big cars and houses and wives and kids and whatever. Those are spectators, nobodies. That's the lug. We call it the lug. People who have that vision need to carry that lug. That's a lot of weight. Don't add to that weight. The biggest problem to all the thinking Muslims is the Muslim community that does not think. We are not suffering from Joe Biden's or Barack Obama's or Tony Blair's or Cameron's or whoever is the English president right now. I don't know, or prime minister. I heard that lady resign. I'm not really in the game right now. Or Putin or Modi's or those are secondary problems. The primary problem is that we are not at all a community right now. Muslims are not a community right now. We do not help each other. We do not give knowledge to each other. We're not for free anyway. We do not volunteer that effort towards each other. These are the two things that make up a community. We voluntarily hold each other's hand and pick each other up. Muslims don't do that. If anything, on the contrary, we actually are the very community that we are all afraid of. In general, Muslims don't trust Muslims. Sharing the cake is Desis don't trust Desis. The brown people have this natural inclination now to sway away from the other brown man or the brown woman. And that's very evident in Canada or America, especially England. We've spent a lot of time in England, so we've really come to terms with whoever we actually are, and we made a tiny little Pakistan and India there. And Islam is not really our identity, nor is it a practice for a set of values that Islam actually compels us to do. The demands of Islam are not visible in any part of our value system. The demands are not there. Even if they are, they're culturally driven, not religiously driven, not from the book. Most people don't even know the book. They know the Arabic of the book. They don't know the book. So you need to understand how big of a problem it will be. You will be, I will be, if I don't have a vision for my 30-year-old sons and daughters right now. Because my sons and daughters are 5 and 7 and 8. You need to understand how big of a problem I am. I am that cancer that conscious Muslim is going to suffer from. So foresight is your key. My kid, who's 6 right now, will be 40 in 36 years. And during those 36 years, I need to see what kind of patterns of thought are going to actually sweep in, and what kind of science is going to be playing, what kind of part in determining what kind of goals is going to set. I mean, that's just basic. What kind of knowledge will be fascinated? What level of knowledge will be fascinated? Who will be fascinated by my child? Who will he be emulating? Who he will naturally be mimicking or imitating, just to be cool or just to be recognized as someone who demands to be valued. Everybody does. What are the definitions of that value 40 years from now, 50 years from now? As parents, our kids will be parents. If we don't train them as teachers, they will always remain students of somebody else. Will not be there. I mean, who has that weird assumption that we're going to be here in 60 years? We're not going to be there. They're going to be solving their own problems. We need to know those problems right now, not just wild ventures and guesses. No. We need to plot that really carefully. These are our own kids. This is the whole community of human beings we're talking about. Right now, I won't be so wrong. I know I'm stretching it a little, but the whole world is suffering from the immoral principles of the Muslim community. I'll tell you why and where my argument is. If Muslims only practice, 10% of Muslims started practicing the Quran fully, the whole world will be a better place. Right now, Muslims are pushing away the whole community of human beings away from the Quran. Because, the whole community is like, if you represent this book, then this book's got some problems because all of you can't be wrong. All of you guys are practicing just one book, and all of you guys from Tunisia to Libya to Qatar to Syria to KSA and UAE and Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and India and Bangladesh and Indonesia and Malaysia. Are you kidding me? Everywhere you go, you see the same kind of corruption. Why wouldn't they think that the Quran has defects? Why wouldn't they think like this? So if we were to practice a sizable chunk, a critical minority, the Quran fully, because I'll tell you this right now. I mean, I'm under no assumption that most of the people will become mu'mineen. It was never the case. Never is going to be the case. The Quran is very clear about this. Surah Al-An'am is clear about this. Okay, well, I'm not going to cherry pick some ayahs and quote surahs right now, but we know the general trend of human beings is that majority does not really follow morality to the core. There is a conscious minority that actually leads the sizable majority, the mass. The mass is never going to think. This is not good. Please do not share the screen. Please stop sharing the screen. I really need to understand how to control this share. This is not good. Just sending this invite to very conscious people. Do not share the screen, please. And somebody please teach me how to stop sharing when somebody does that. So, vision. Draw out the vision. And if you do that, you have a fair, you only you will have that fair chance of raising that conscious critical minority of Muslims who are going to actually represent the Quran to the future of human beings. 100 years from now, no one who's alive right now will be alive 100 years from now. So, the world refreshes itself. It's only our kids that will have a chance to, and thank God it does. Otherwise, we would have had a very difficult equation to prove for our kids to do that, ihsan on the rest of the community. We need to raise up those muhsinins who are going to benefit the world, not just themselves. So, Sabah, the answer to your question is England has a lot of things to offer. If you have that vision, you'll know, which Pakistan doesn't. And Pakistan has a lot of things to offer. So how do I actually, do the math? Well, math is simple. You need to see what kind of age your children are into. Certain age, certain skills are given by England more eloquently, more efficiently. And the global exposure that the child requires to generate that linguistic capability of understanding the grammar of how people actually think and speak and express their emotions. That's absolutely basic and necessary. Most Pakistanis who have not left Pakistan do not understand that expression of emotionality. That's why they get intimidated by the globally exposed people, regardless of whether they're Muslims or not. That's why you see less confidence in immigrants anywhere, of any religion. Immigrants do not have that kind, first generation immigrants do not ever have that kind of confidence, even if they spend 20 years in the country. You see first generation Danish people, Scandinavian people, all of them. You see first generation Americans. You see first generation, well, you won't because it's too long ago. English, first generation English Muslim Pakistanis were senior than Victoria, I guess. So first generation Australians, you can see all of them, and you'll see that the second generation is far superior in their skills, in their senses, in their comprehension of the world, the global affairs, the understanding of the real problems. And the third generation is way more eloquent. But you can see that the second generation immigrants of Muslims, especially from Pakistan, India, they didn't do their job really well according to what the Quran demanded. So the third generation is swaying with high amplitudes, left and right. You need to see, I'm just drawing out the pattern. I can see it right now. So it's not about just the language. It's not about just the culture. It's about the opportunity of understanding what skill is, what the requirements of the skill are. And we really need to change. Write this down somewhere, everybody. We need to change the impression of what English has and swap it with Arabic. And as soon as we're going to do that, I'm just talking to Pakistanis and Indians right now, and Bengalis. Swap English with Arabic, and then you'll see that the third generation Gen Z right now, or in their preteens, they are going to do wonders with the Quran. I can see it. I'm just reading the psychology right now. I know the patterns, okay? If you swap Arabic with as a first language, and they're eloquent enough in Arabic, you will see the kind of wonders they're going to do because of that asset that they have through the global exposure of the internet. They have higher IQs, they have better senses, they have no direction. They have absolutely no direction. And people who have no direction follow celebrities. That's the basic rule. People who have absolutely no vision or direction would follow anyone who's got a little bit of glimmer. And that's what they're doing. They're following whoever and whatever has a little bit of a glimmer from any part of the spectrum, any side of the spectrum, any color of the spectrum, good and bad, evil or not. You'll see that. So they have that higher energy, they have that bigger apertures. We are just not harnessing that. And I'm just giving you one aspect, which is the language. Okay, you need to understand the problem. The Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, had that base definition of what the worldview should be, and nothing else fascinated them, because the Prophet ﷺ was carving out that psychology with his own hands. So that worldview trumped anything else. That's why they had confidence. They had that right attitude, because that basic central belief system was well grounded by the Prophet ﷺ himself. To them, that was cool, the coolest. You need to understand that. Of course, they didn't use this terminology, nor should anybody, but I'm just using your terminology right now. So nothing else could cause any kind of deterrent to that central pillar. If we do not install that central pillar right now, before they turn 12 or 13, then anything which has any kind of glimmer or cool or has enough following is going to take that place of that central pillar. And no matter what kind of Sira lectures you're going to give him, the Quran lectures you're going to give him, the Arabic you're going to teach him, no, it's not, I'm sorry, too late. He will have to generate that definition on his own by going through every single door that this building of the world has to offer. So it's about who comes first. I'm telling you this right now. Who comes first? And the way these people are telling that story of their own worldview and their whole definition of purpose was so awesome. They know the right words, the phrase, they know when to say what and what not to. They have the sense of timing, and the way they've actually perfected that grammar of telling that story. I mean, look at any movie of Hollywood, any. And you'll find out, and the way they've actually, create their story around the definition of aesthetics of the mind, aesthetics of the mind. It's just simply marvelous. And you can see the patterns from the 40s and 50s and 60s, and now the kind of language Hollywood has changed into themselves into, and they've transited successfully into understanding what the human mind requires right now. They did it for money, obviously. But, money is a very good indicator of how to understand psychology, right? Why would people pay tickets? I mean, if they don't understand or they're not getting fascinated, they're not going to buy that ticket. It's a very good tool for the psychologists, for the parents. So you can see what kind of virality certain things are getting. You can see the kind of grammar your kids are into. But the irony is, by the time you're going to realize this, it'll be too late, because something else has already taken up that central core. Now, I mean, I'm not saying it's too late, it's irrecoverable. You can swap it if you know the grammar. But these things are telling you the grammar. I mean, I'll give you an example. You see any Muslim movie or a cartoon, oh my God. I mean, it's like we're cursed, Literally, we're cursed. in that field of aesthetics. I'm not saying we should make movies or whatever. I'm just saying, if we jump into anything, you can see a Desi documentary and you can spot it. Even if it's got no words, you can see it's a Desi documentary. You see any kind of film, be it a cartoon or a movie, and you can spot the difference by the way they approach that subject, the whole subject of understanding the aesthetics of the story. Why am I focusing on this? I'll tell you this right now. I'm focusing on this because Sira is demanding that grammar. We need to know Sira so well so that we can actually literally incorporate and structure Sira inside the mind of our child. Once it takes all of that space of the central pillar, then you'll understand that the Quran is going to seep into those, fine pores that the Sira actually, creates for the Quran to come in and settle. It's like it's like cement, literally. So understand as a mother and as a father, what are the demands of Islam? Right now, as a mother and a father, understand the way you're going to narrate the whole diagram of what Sira is, who the Prophet is, what a prophet is, who the prophet is, and how a prophet becomes a prophet. What is the difference between a prophet and any other man? You need to understand. You just have to read a few books of how they create heroes, and how Kant defines heroes, and how Nietzsche defines his Übermensch. Look at them. Look at them. Literally, in the late 1800s, these guys, coming up with this whole imagery of the Übermensch. The way he's describing it. I'm telling this as a Muslim, I'm telling you, it's a pathetic job. I mean, this guy's trying to understand Übermensch while he's writing it. I'm telling you this. You read him, you'll find out. Pathetic, not in a way that he shouldn't come up with it. He came up with an awesome idea, regardless of how and why he wrote it. But pathetic in terms of the way he describes the whole story of the Übermensch. Because it's not a story. It's more of a scribble. You read Nietzsche's book and you'll find out it's a lot of scribble coming together. And still, till today, it is determining how the West is going to think about the concept of, who the hero is and what perfectionism is inside a man's attributable structure. It's just one book. If you don't want to read 200 books, it's okay. Just one book. Try and get a reference point of how human beings are influenced. As a parent, it is our job. It is our basic job to understand child's psychology. That child is born with nuclear talents, and we dumb him down or dumb her down into a nobody who will be just thrown away into the screens. Find out your own heroes, and there'll be plenty. There'll be plenty. They're all fictional characters, for God's sakes. Even the Übermensch is not real. It's just imaginary. We have real characters with real stories, real villains, and we still cannot come up with the right grammar to install that story. There was a time when there were no movies. You know that, right? People used to read books and let the human mind do its own paint job, its own artwork. You need to understand that. We really need to understand. And you know what? I'm just going to talk to Pakistanis for just 1 minute, because I know the culture. I'm pretty sure India is like this. I didn't ever go to India, so I'm just assuming we have the same kind of culture where in the 40s and 50s and 60s, people used to read stories and books. This last generation Pakistan, the first Pakistani generation, because I'm the second generation Pakistan, right? My father was born in the 40s, so he's the first Pakistani in my family. So these people, they were reading novels and books and whatnot. Prose, all prose. Well, poetry too, but mostly prose. And This generation did not pass on the seerah to us. You need to understand that. You go to a masjid and you'll find out the way he's going to describe seerah is like, you know what, the worst thing that you can possibly do to Islam is that guy's, ability to narrate a story. It's a problem. I mean, I'm talking about a lot of aspects right now. It's become a little bit of a session on parenting, but this is exactly what my answer is, as descriptive as I can be. I'm not being so descriptive because there are so many people in the group right now. I got to take so many questions. But when you want to come out of Miami just to go to Miawali, don't. Please don't do that. I'm not saying you're better off in Miami. I'm just saying you're going to do an awful job doing whatever you're doing anywhere unless you have a plan. You have a vision. Different kind of disease is going to latch on to in Miami. I know. I've been to Miami. And a totally different kind of disease, even worse in Miawali or Multan. Because you don't have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you're not going to have the discipline. Because what kind of discipline? Where are you trying to, put that, those milestones? What kind of strategy do you have without a vision? Where are you leading him to? So the knowledge, the sense, the skill, the attribute, the character, all of this is your job. It's my job. I look at my son, I'm looking, what kind of failure can I be? I better know that. What is the probability of me failing because of the kind of joke he's cracking or not, story he's telling or not, orders he's listening to or not, instructions he's following or not? I mean, I need to keep assessing this as a father all the time so that I can understand what goes in and how inside the mind of this young boy. How? And what has gone into his mind? And how? Who's doing a better job than I am? I'm the guy who's actually responsible for this boy. Who's raising my son, my daughter? Somebody who came up with some story, made up a little cartoon or a movie, posted it on YouTube is raising my child? Literally. He's installing that central pillar that the wife of my son is going to suffer from. The sons and daughters of my son are going to suffer from because of that. Some guy sitting somewhere in New York or wherever, he went to film school. He came up with some idea, grabbed a bunch of friends, went to a basement, made a movie, went viral, and my child draws his curve of fascination through that one boy, unknown. The way he describes a hero, the way he describes the concept of good and evil. And my son in Islamabad is trying to, perfect that. Because I missed out on that opportunity. I was just, too busy having dinners and talking politics of my own family with my wives. Claiming to be a father of my own house, alpha male, giving attitude to my women. Claiming fatherhood is very easy. Being a real father is not. Being a parent is not biology, I'm telling you. It's Islam. Islam takes you out of this biology, gives you a lot of job, a very big job. There's some certain things. When I was little, I was just thinking, and I was a boy. I mean, I was a little boy. I was thinking, why is that not a ritual for all Muslims to spend some time in Yemen? Well, I was thinking Yemen because my teacher was from Yemen, but because of the way the whole language is constructed in Yemen. Everybody knows who's from Arabia that Yemen is like, the crown jewel. Prophet ﷺ said, Iman is Yemeni, Hikmah is Yemeni. Why are we not putting that into play? What kind of hikmah? Of course, the language, the way they actually, look at the whole concept of the language, their cultural psychology. The best of you people will come from Syria at that time. Really? What's in Syria? What happens in Syria? How come the best of those people, the best of the people on the planet, will come from Syria? Really? Okay. Well, why don't we just get that kind of exposure, Isn't that better than Harvard and Yale? I'm just talking about, get an exposure. I swear to God, it is. But we would pay anything to get that exposure, or 3 days or 10 days, course and certification from Harvard. God knows I will. Iman is not Harvard. Yeah, Hikmah is not Harvard. Iman is Yemen. Hikmah is Yemen. So I'm just saying, look at the way your vision is going to drive you, and that vision should come from Sira. Vision should come from the quality of the vision come from Sira. And you should draw out the curve of what our kids are going to go through in the next 100 years. Read and talk to people who know what the patterns are. And I mean, let me just give you an example. 50 years from now, 50 years ago, when my father was a boy, 50 years ago, he didn't do the math on, he couldn't do the math. Just like that, I won't be able to do the math on what's going to happen to my son when he's going to be 50, right? But I'm not even going to try. And that's where I fail. So whether you want to come to Pakistan or not, I'm not qualified to answer this. The future of your son is going to tell you whether you should stay in England, try and solve that problem, because at certain age, England is going to offer a certain set of skills which Pakistan is never going to do. And in Pakistan, certain kind of skills and exposure are going to come to your child, which England can never do. So think about it. Okay, think about it. Okay, I'm just going to jump to a boy now. Let's just talk to someone who I've never spoken to. Please, if you have spoken to me, please give your turn to somebody else. Sherjan, assalamu alaikum. First time I'm reading your name, that's why. Assalamu alaikum. Sherjan, I cannot hear you for some reason. 5-second rule. Subhan. Assalamu alaikum.
Can you hear me? Yes, sir. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, actually, sir, I have a question.
What country are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
Okay. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question that how we can manage ourselves. That I know you are speaking the truth. I know what the right way is, but
what was your name? Walid John? Shed John? I've lost you. Forgot your name. Maz Jamshed. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, my question is that what is the difference between being confident and being arrogant? Like sometimes we can't even differentiate what is the difference between these two things. And एक वीडियो में आपने ये भी कहा था कि
I'll tell you before we go
Musliman-
there. It's a good question. Confidence is the relationship between you and that action or skill or whatever you're going to do. Okay. If you're going to talk about some concept and your knowledge, your relationship with that concept of knowledge or skill or that action, right? And arrogance is your relationship between you and other people. So if I am going to do something and I know I can do it, I'm confident. I got nobody in my mind right now. I'm just talking about me and that skill, me and that action, me and that piece of knowledge, me and that expression, me and that speech, me and that debate, the argument, right? Regardless of whoever is going to listen to it, that's confidence. And even if I am going to put somebody in that curve, I'm going to put someone who's going to be superior than me. So I'm going to be actually on a lower pedestal. It's humility, yet confidence that, you know what, no, I can express this as well as this needs to be expressed. I can do this as good as this needs to be done. I can play this as good as it needs to be played, no matter what it is. Nobody in your perspective at that time, just accept that action that you're going to do, perform. But arrogance is that I'm going to be actually thinking I am better than that person. I'm more gifted than that person. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you're going to actually put that comparison chart in, you're arrogant. Okay. I hope that first part of your question is answered. You can go on with the second part. Maz, are you guys muting your own selves? Because I'm not muting you guys. Maliha, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Maliha, if you have a problem with the microphone, then I'll have to skip.
Hear me?
Maliha.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now. Where are you from?
Hello.
Maliha, can you hear me? Apparently not.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Maliha, but let's fix this problem right now. Maliha, where are you from? Maliha. Okay, we're gonna go to Fatima. Fatima, assalamu alaikum.
Sir?
Hear me?
Gee, Fatima, I can hear you. Where are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
What are you guys doing up at this time? This is 1 a.m. in the morning. This is supposed to be for people in North America. Go on, Fatima. What's your question?
Sir, I have a quite confusion between rights and duties. Like, हमें यहाँ पे सिखाया जाता है कि जो एक शख्स है वो फर्ज अदा करके ही हक हासिल करने के काबिल बनता है। लेकिन अगर आजकल के दौर में देखें तो हर जगह सिर्फ यही है कि हकूक की दौड़ लगी हुई है, हर कोई अपना हक हासिल करे। तो क्या हमारा ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं बनती कि हम पहले उनसे ये सवाल करें कि आप अपने फ़राइज़ पूरे कर रहे हैं कि नहीं? और अगर ऐसा है, मतलब अगर हम लोगों ने कोई जंग लड़नी है, तो वो हम लोगों के हकूक या सपोज़ हकूक हासिल करने के लिए लड़ते हैं, तो हम लोगों को पहले ये कन्फर्म करना चाहिए कि वो शख्स अपना जो है फ़र्ज़ अदा कर रहा है कि नहीं?
Yeah, it's true. That's not a question. That's a very good statement. Yes. In Islam, your duty is your job. You're getting your rights or not? Of course, you're supposed to project the balance of fairness and whoever first fight for the rights of others so that you can qualify to fight for your own rights. However, you can't just let go of your rights just because you cannot fight for it. You should learn to fight for your rights too. But that's not your primary. Your primary is your duties. You're right. Gee, so I'm going to go to a boy. Vishan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sir, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, sir. You tell me.
Sir, basically I am from JLM, Pakistan. And sir, my question is that what is the initial step to give someone dawah? Like Muslim identity, I am a student of university and I want to influence the students to Islam and to the Muslim identity session. So what is the initial and basic steps for me to invite them?
Your own virtues and characters, buddy. You need to work on your character elements so that you can actually project that. There was this guy, actually a group of people who went to Imam Malik and they said, you know what, in your khutbah for the Jummah, can you talk about freeing the slave? And because that's one of the first thing that you should be preaching for. Imam Malik said, yes, that's primary, man. That's primary, I will, but not this Friday. let me just do it next Friday. And they said,
Sir,
yeah, we would prefer that you would do it this Friday, but okay. He didn't do it that Friday, and he followed the next Friday. And then this group came in and they're like, why did you do it the last Friday? And he said, because I am just gotten some slaves myself. I had to free them to actually, tell everybody else that you should free slaves. So you gotta practice what you preach. And to practice, you need to have that set of virtues, and that virtue list comes from, the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay. So it's that simple, it's that basic. Okay, what I'm going to do is, Maheen, can you hear me? Maheen, are you in the room? Yeah, you are. I need to understand, why are you waking up Pakistanis at this time? You should be inviting only overseas Muslims so that they would be, doing this session in broad daylight. Okay. Make sure you're surgically placing this invite for overseas Muslims. I'm not complaining of why they're Pakistani. What I'm saying is, it's highly inappropriate. You guys should be asleep right now. Okay. We're pulling an all-nighter here at my workplace. We're going to be doing a 24-hour marathon, different channels, different platforms. So this is not appropriate for timing for the session for Pakistanis. So was that a boy? Yeah, it was a boy. So we're going to go to a girl now. We're going to talk to somebody who's not from Pakistan, please. Okay. You guys should be fast asleep. Ji, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Iram.
I'm from Pakistan.
उठी भी क्यों हैं आप? Why are you up?
सर वैसे भी जाग रहे होते हैं तो वो फिर लिंक आ गया तो ज्वाइन कर लिया.
Okay, so Iram, English
question?
question only. Yeah.
I can ask in English.
Yeah, please.
My question is this: that why Allah has put the same rights for abusive parents and for compassionate one?
Different tests, different kids, different tests. Okay.
Because the situation and circumstances are not same for both kids.
Well, that's not circumstance for the child, right?
Mm,
You need to understand. Those kids are lucky if you look at it from the big picture perspective. I mean, they obviously don't seem lucky, but they got a lot easier of an equation. But we know the big equation of whoever is going to get turmoil here is going to get no turmoil there, right? You know that, right? Iram?
yeah.
Yeah. So problems here are a solution there. Problems here are a benefit there. So there are different tests for different people. People with normal household, alhamdulillah, I've got a great household. I mean, my father and mother, very rare in Pakistan. Very rare. I never saw a fight, ever. I mean, that shouldn't be that good, right? I mean, there should be some sort of a quarrel, but no. My folks never fought. My father was the funniest guy. He was strict as hell, I'm telling you. He used to really give us the beating. But my mother and father, we never saw them even debate things on a heated or high enough temperature. I mean, there were some awkward moments I can remember now that I think about it, but those were little spells of silences. And it's not like those boring professors, my mother and father, I mean, they were like funny people. They're still, my mother's, alhamdulillah, still alive. And, so I had a normal household. And you know what? I keep thinking that, a lot of people, millions of people don't have normal households. Most of them should have gone through some sort of a divorce. They don't. So what happens is, toxicity seeps into your mind and, blasts your psychology, and perversion comes into your psychology, and you don't get to enjoy the level of trust. I mean, I trust people so easily, because I was given a normal household, and I enjoy the value of and the richness of the relationship of my friends and my family, because I know the rules of it. Not that I was given a book about it. We were just, that was the way it is. It's how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had 4 siblings. I am second of 4. Well, I'm the third of 5, but my older sister died when she was little. So I never saw her. I mean, she died before I was born. So I'm just saying, we were 4 siblings, and we 3 brothers. I mean, my youngest sister. I mean, I keep confusing my sister's name with my daughter. She's that young. I keep calling my daughter's name to my sister, and I keep calling Rida Hijab and Hijab Rida, unintentionally. She's that young. So we 3 boys were just growing up, and now we used to have millions of friends. And all single one of my friends was in love with me, and I was in love with him. Because, we never had that sort of quiet spells or going into shells or distrust or mistrust or skepticism or whatever. Because my household didn't have that. We were never, aware of such problems until, of course, we grew up and we found out that, my best friend had a lot of problems in his household. And that's why he was my best friend, because all I was doing was consoling this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. And, boys don't really express the way girls express. And girls really have a weird way of expressing. I mean, it's not weird, but it's a very different way. For a boy, it's kind of weird. And I found that out later on. Maybe this is the biggest problem this world is suffering from, but still is a test. I see childhood traumas of 60-year-old people, childhood traumas being still played into their own grandkids by them with their own hands. Because of this joint family commotion, they're perfecting this, inherited syndrome. It's going to go from my great-grandfather to my great-grandson. I'm going to make sure of it. Because his great-grandfather still was alive and he was little, and they were living in under the same roof, and when his grandson was born, he was still alive, and he's going to do whatever his grandfather was doing to his grandfather, and his grandfather did it to his father. And that was like the thing, it's the thing. Same goes with the mommies and the nannies. Ironically, I was not even grown into a joint family system. I mean, I didn't have any chachas or tayas. My father was a single child, well, the only brother, and my mom was the only child. So we couldn't go into a joint family system. So I don't even speak the same language of problems. So I had to read about them and talk to people. Ironically, I went into a profession which requires people to tell their problems to me. And I'm like, okay, they're not making this up. The real problems that they're going through, they're not making this up. Literally, child molestation by their own fathers, literally. Can you imagine that? Imagine that. Can you go any lower than this? And I'm thinking, it's nothing but a test. There are no coincidences in Islam, no flukes in the canvas of my Lord. He writes everything down as an ease on the day of judgment for that guy or that girl. All you gotta do is just be grateful. There's a hadith, the Prophet said that God keeps testing, and the moment God is going to let this guy loose and give his bounty upon this guy just goes ungrateful. And the Prophet said, then Allah smiles. I was just about to free you from this test. This is just a tiny little test, this little planet of yours. Just a little test. You just need to hold on to that faith. I'm telling you this. So abusive parents, test. I'm not saying it's easy. Maybe it's the toughest. If I'm telling you this, in some ways, if you look at the whole problems of the world, maybe this is the toughest of them all. But still a test. And people who do complain about their abusive parents, trust me, either they become the biggest test for others because they become abusive. They don't realize it. That's when they realize that their father never realized that he was abusive, or their mother. And I've seen more maliciousness in women than in men. You need to understand that, admit that. The Desi woman has become malicious against her own kids. I mean, you can see the abuse of the father. You cannot see the maliciousness of your, that's why it's called maliciousness. You can't see it. He's doing it. Most of the time, it's way worse than just, the slap around your face by an abusive father, an emotional, bomb that, father comes home and just blasts everything out of the house. Yeah, okay, big problem. I'm just saying, it's a problem, and I understand that. And it's not just Desis. Everybody goes through this. Still a test. Need to see. Need to see what kind of test you're gonna get. Use it. If it doesn't kill you, it's only gonna make you stronger, right? Allah Ta'ala is giving you all the tests so that you can understand Him better. That you know what, I'm still alive, still kicking. Don't be ungrateful.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, but I don't think so. It makes you strong.
Oh, it does. Trust me, it does. I mean, if you look at it from a big picture perspective, you need to see. I'm not saying, oh, everybody should abuse their kids so that they can become stronger. What I'm saying is, inevitably, you are going to gain a lot more resilience. Naturally, you're going to cope. You're going to have stronger coping mechanisms. I'm not saying that everyone should be abusive. Nobody should be. What I'm saying is, on the flip side, you'll see that these kids do become a lot more thick-skinned, and they do far better than those other kids with silver spoons in their mouths, and just those oily brats that you can see running around. These other girls and boys, they're that much more resilient. I'm not saying that they should be slapping around kids because there's a lot better model for generating resilience in your kids. Okay. So, but still is a test. You cannot deny that. And you will realize it when you're going to grow into that sense of understanding how tests work. Yeah. So let me just go through a question from a boy. Mujib, Assalamu alaikum.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
It's a boy's turn. आपका नाम क्या? What's your name? The lady? You just said Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. What's your name?
Hello.
I'll get back to you. Ji Mujib.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam. Ji, hello, ma'am. आप मेरे पास ही रहिएगा. Just stay with me. I'll come to you after Mujib sahab. Ji Mujib sahab.
Sir, I'm from Pakistan, so I would not ask a question. I would like to ask a question from someone else. So.
You want to pass?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, great, thanks. Ji, ma'am, आप पूछ कह रही थी. Yes, you were saying.
जी sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. What's your name?
My name is Fatima. Right now I'm in Canada.
जी फातिमा.
जी मुझे ना सर बस ये बात पूछनी थी. आप अपने लेक्चर्स में you say a lot of time कि मुस्लिम जो होता है उसको जब वो किसी रूम में बैठा हो तो लोगों को पता होना चाहिए कि ये मुस्लिम है और उसका रोब होना चाहिए, या सराउंडिंग्स में, या मींस यू से कि एक पर्सोना होता है मुस्लिम का कि जो वहां पर किसी भी एरिया में हो तो लोगों को पता चले कि भाई यहाँ पर कोई आप गलत काम नहीं कर सकते हैं. लेकिन सर आजकल तो जमाना ही वो कहते हैं ना कि अजीब तरीके का नहीं आ गया हुआ कि जरा सा कोई दलेरी दिखाए तो आगे से उसको पकड़ लेते हैं सबके सब. और जिन लोगों की इस वक्त चल रही है एज अ मुस्लिम नेशन, हम बहुत नीचे चले गए हुए हैं, दैट इज अ फैक्ट. लेकिन जो लोग अभी रूल कर रहे हैं दुनिया को, वो लोग फिर सर अपने रिसोर्सेज यूज करके आखिरी हद तक तो लेकर जाते हैं.
Fatima, what's going on today? Fatima, let me just get a sense of what you're trying to ask me. Let me just try and get. Actually, I can't get a sense of what you're going to ask me because you didn't end your question. Yeah, but a Muslim should be carrying himself like a Muslim should. I see a lot of. I'll tell you what I mean by the persona. There's this weird notion in the world right now, especially the overseas Muslims, that we can't judge people and whatever they do. Even if he's drinking in front of me, that's his own business. I get that. You don't judge him as a guy's going to burn in hell. He could just he might just repent tomorrow and be a way better person. I can't judge him, but I'm going to judge that act. You need to understand that. I'm going to judge that act, and I'm going to try my best to make sure that he doesn't do it again by doing the best I can to get him out of it. How else do you think I'm assuming? What am I expecting? Jibreel al-Islam to come and tell him? This guy was sent to me in front of me, like for a test. That's my test. Everything is a test. A guy who's doing anything corrupt in front of me, which is against any commandment of Allah, is a test for me. What did you do about this? At the least you could have done is just talked about it. You know what? Next time I'm in the room, I'm going to do a little more aggressive, take up a little more aggressive an approach. This is the first time you're doing it in front of me, but don't do it, man. I give you a million reasons from just science alone. I mean, I'm not going to pull the science card in front of you. I'm going to start with the Quran because I'm a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? He should be really bothered by the fact. Anybody should be bothered that I'm going to a guy who's a Muslim and I'm not going to carry a six-pack, which is beer, but I'm not going to party with a Muslim with, marijuana and whatever. Call a few girls so that, we can just drink around. No, because I'm going to a Muslim house. I got a Muslim coming in. Why do we give this liberty only to people with political power or some sort of celebrity that is going to come into my house and I'm going to be very careful? Well, why? Every Muslim is a celebrity. For all of that shar, that khabith element in the planet. We are those powers. We are those, big shots because we stop things from our own hands. It's a problem. We need to raise our sons and daughters so that, they can object. Otherwise, how are they going to object to the bigger injustice going on by these politicians in the world? They can't even stop their own friends from marijuana and alcohol. You think they're going to have the guts to talk to Imran Khan, Nawaz Sharif, and Bidens and Blairs and Putins or Trudeau's? You're in Canada, Trudeau. You think your son is going to go and knock the door in Ottawa? His own friends are knocking your door down to party. He can't even stop those. What kind of book is he going to be throwing at Trudeau? What kind of rationale is he going to be picking up from, about, to? Where is he getting that courage? You need to develop that courage. And it's very, very easy to develop in kids. And they build up on it. You'll be amazed how fast and quick they are in building up, the whole muscle. Courage is a muscle. Courage is a muscle. You develop it. So don't tell your kids to be rude or, abusively arrogant. No. Don't take that approach. While I'm talking about this, I should also caution you all. So it's a problem that we don't really, we teaching that, biblical Pauline philosophy of live and let live, turn the other cheek. No, that's not Muslim. That's not even Jesus, okay? Alayhi salam. That's Paul. That is just Paul. That confused guy, which the Quran says, wala dallin to. That's Saint Paul. He's dictating the way we're going to approach evil in this planet as Muslims. Saint Paul is not going to tell me how to carry myself. Okay? Why I'm saying Saint Paul? Because Jesus never said that. Turn the other cheek is not from Jesus. Alayhi salam. Isa ibn Maryam took the Bani Israel and their sages, their ulama, head on. You should read the debate between James and St. Paul. You should read it. You'll find out what St. Paul actually did. It's in their books, not Muslims. Gee, so anybody from okay, your name is Canada. Gee, Canada. Aima.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Gee.
So I don't know if it's like considered as like, Muslim identity or something, but like in school, technically, I guess like you could say I get bullied at times. Like, the entire saying forgive and forget, like, what if somebody's trying to take advantage of you while doing that? Because like, this is like, my friends, like, who I thought
How
were
old
my
are you?
friends.
Aima, how old are you?
12.
You're 12?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming you're a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I hear you probably? Okay. You're 12. You got siblings?
Yes.
Okay. You're the oldest?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound like you carry yourself like that. Your tone tells me that you're the oldest. Okay. Where are you living right now?
Canada.
Say what now?
Canada.
Yeah. Where in Canada?
Mississauga.
Okay. You go to school and you get bullied, or this is your own people in your own family?
School.
School. Okay.
Yeah.
So why are they bullying? What do you think they're bullying you for? Your hijab? Are
Like
you wearing a
at
hijab?
times, huh?
You go on. I'm sorry. Go on. Why are they bullying you?
Yeah, so at times, like, sometimes we joke around and then they come to me like,
Who's they?
saying like, a bunch, like, 2 or 3 people, I guess, at my school.
Same guys every time?
Yeah. So one of them, like, they come to me like, they literally come to me, approach my lunch, they take something out, they put it in their mouth, and then after, like, putting it in their mouth, they ask me if they can have it. And like indirectly, I've told them many times to, like, it's
Boys?
not nice to do that. No, girls.
Girls. Okay. You go to a all girls school?
No, I go
a
to an
public
Islamic school.
You go to an Islamic school. It's mixed, right? Boys and girls.
Yeah.
Okay. So are these the same girls that bully everybody else, or they just pick on you?
No, like, once you get to know them, they're not really nice. Those type of people that, like, on the outside, they look really nice.
That's not what I asked. I know they're not nice. That's very obvious. Don't worry about it. We're not confused here. Are they
No,
bullying
they don't bully
everybody,
anybody
or they just pick on you?
No. No, not everybody else.
Just you?
Yeah.
How long?
Ever since this year started, for like 2 to 3 months.
They're in your class?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do about this, Aima?
I told the teacher first, and like, they told me that they're gonna, like, talk to them and stuff. But then after that, when the teachers talked to them, like, they started crying as if they were the ones who got hurt, and like, and after that, they still
No, don't
continued.
tell me what they did. Tell me what the teacher did.
The teacher told them to, like, stop, and like, they told them, like, directly, like, that, like, it's not nice, and like, technically, like, the teacher didn't, like, teacher once did it in front of me, teacher, like, the teacher then like, the second time they took them outside and talked to them, but technically the
Didn't
teacher
help?
just, huh?
It didn't help.
No.
When was the last time they picked on you?
It happened, like, this week. They came to me and took my lunch.
They took your lunch again.
Yeah.
And you quit going to the teacher now?
I guess, yeah.
No, tell me, yes or no?
Yeah.
You gave up on the teacher?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you gave up on the policy, then you gotta take matters into your hand now. There's another policy, right? You know that, right?
Yeah.
What is that policy called? Come on, tell me. Aima, you're 12 now. You're not a little girl. You don't have faith in the policy of the school. So what do you do? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Think about it. Okay. Well, give me the name of your youngest sibling who goes to school.
Alia. She
Alia.
doesn't,
Yeah, okay.
she's like,
It's all right.
not really
Doesn't matter.
going to school.
Doesn't matter. Alia, okay, once she's gonna go to school. What do you want Alia to do when she's gonna get bullied? Because he will.
I don't know, stand up for herself and not.
Oh, there you go. So you know the policy. So that is the policy. You know who gets bullied, Ima?
Yeah.
Or who take a wild guess? Who gets bullied?
The people who can't stand up for themselves?
No, well, you don't know that, right? I give you a crowd of 20 right now. Okay. 20 girls in the class. I tell you to bully one of them. Who are you gonna pick? For the sake of discussion, right? Okay. Hypothetically speaking.
The weakest one, I guess.
How are you gonna see if he says she's the weakest one?
By how they, I don't know.
Yeah, how they react to your presence.
Yeah.
How are they gonna let you do whatever you're gonna do to them, right? To her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not about the policy of the school. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Now, okay, I'm gonna be Alia. Okay, I'm gonna be Alia. How old am I? I'm Alia.
Alia's 8.
I'm 8. I'm 8. Okay, I'm Alia. Talk to me now. I'm just my first day at school. Well, give me your first piece of advice.
To like, I guess show yourself.
You never start with I guess, okay? Because that means you're not sure. Tell me something you're sure. Because we're talking about Alia here. Come on. Aren't you going to be protective like a mother?
To be protective and not to let others get to you.
Yeah, no, what am I going to hear from you? I am Alia. Okay, do a role play with me. I am Alia. I'm going to school. You're just going to leave me to my class now. Give me a piece of advice against bullying.
First of all, to make sure to pick the right people to be friends with and to know how to stand up for yourself.
How do I do that, Api? Tell me, how do I do that? How do I stand up for myself?
First, ignore it. If they do it for too long, then I guess tell your parents or tell the teacher, something like that.
Oh God, Ima. Is your mother around?
No.
Father?
They're upstairs.
So you just picked up on this session yourself?
No, my mother called me here. Now she's upstairs.
Okay. Listen, Ima, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Fear is very visible in the timid, okay? You need to understand that. You know who the timid are, right? Ima?
Yes.
You know who the timid people are, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You can spot a guy who's afraid in a crowd of millions. Anybody can. Okay? You need to understand that. Fear is going to be the most visible trait in your personality. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to put courage with your own hands on your own forehead for people to see. Okay? You need to make sure you know what I'm talking about. You got to make sure that you show courage by your action. And it's not about winning a fight or something. It's about showing resistance. Okay? Don't be afraid to get hurt. No one's going to hurt you, but don't be afraid to get hurt. But you stand up with that very notion, with that very possibility that you are going to get hurt, and it's okay. You hear me? You're not going to get hurt. Trust me. They're going to be running from you. You know Superman, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think Superman, takes care of things? Because of the fact that he can fly? That's his superpower? Come on. You've seen Superman, right? Ima?
I mean, I know him, but I've never watched any of his.
Well, so you know Superman can fly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But that's not his real power. You know that, right? You know what
Yes.
Superman's real power is? Let's assume that one day Superman decides not to fly. So he's going to make sure he's not going to fly. Do you think he's going to get bullied?
No.
Because of the way he's going to carry himself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a Muslim attitude. You cannot be bullied as a Muslim because you're going to show resistance. Bullies never, ever. Bullies are the people who are the most timid. They're so damn afraid that they're actually showing fear by finding the weakest link in the whole crowd. Okay? That weak little puppy. I mean, what kind of a person would pick the weakest of the crowd to just, pick on? A guy's afraid of the people who are not weak, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that bully is the person who's actually afraid. Otherwise, he would not go to the weakest. He's frightened to death, literally. So these girls who are scared to death are just picking up on the weakest because that weakest does not show resistance. That's why he's the weakest. You stand up and you tell them that this is not going to be over until Aima is going to say it's going to be over. And no teacher is going to come in the middle now. You're going to be complaining to the teacher about me now. Okay, you got to do it one time. And no one is going to bully you for the rest of your life. Ever. Even when you're 20, you're 30, you're 40. Men and women combined. You start showing resistance to whatever is wrong. You believe bullying is wrong, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then you show resistance. That's Muslim identity, okay? That's what a Muslim does. She in particular, shows resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what most kids are afraid of? I'll tell you this right now. Every human child is afraid of getting that first hit, that first punch, okay? That first fall. Once you take that first hit, that fear goes away in seconds. It's like taking a shot. You're getting a needle shot, right? Once you take the needle shot, you're like, oh, that's it. It's the fear. It's the figment of your own imagination. It's nothing else. I'm not saying just go get hit, but even if you do, it's okay. People who are afraid are just afraid of that first hit. After that, you don't even feel the pain. But the fact that people can see that courage because you're not afraid to take the hit. You know what courage is, right? Courage is that I am not afraid to take that first hit. That's called courage. Okay? Mind you, these girls are never going to raise their hand on you. What I'm saying is, even if there was boys, even if that one crazy woman somewhere is going to meet you and she's going to try and hit you, it's okay. You're going to still show resistance. I'm not trying to tell you to hit people. What I'm saying is don't be afraid of them. And you're going to find out that no bully in any school that you're ever going to walk into is going to come your way. It's like magic. And then your real job is going to begin, Aima. Then you're going to actually stand up for the people who are getting bullied. Because now you know the formula. Once you're going to practice that formula, then you're going to actually have to train other girls on the same formula, okay? Unless you're a giver, you're not a Muslim. You cannot keep it to yourself. Okay? You understand me? I'll tell you something. Most boys are way more afraid than any girl you'll ever meet, especially Muslim boys. Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay to be afraid. There is no courage without fear, okay? People who have no fear cannot generate any courage. Courage is developed over fear. If you do not have fear, you cannot be courageous. Being afraid is normal. Being courageous is Muslim. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, at 12, I'm telling you this, I can tell you a lot of 7-year-olds who are working on this formula and they never get bullied. Those bullies are supposed to be taken pity at. They got problems in their household. They got bad mommies and daddies, and I don't know what's going on with them. You know, you should be helping them later on. First, you stand up for your own self. In most of the schools, you'll be amazed as to what kind of policies they have. They just somehow cannot stop the bullies. because of whatever reasons that they came up with. Okay, so I need to understand. I need you to understand this as a part of growing up, as part of your manual of when you're going to be a big girl. You don't want to be bullied by other people. This is just, if you let this happen, you're going to be bullied all your life. Okay? Ji, Maria.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, जैसे कि इन कनाडा और अमेरिका, नॉर्थ अमेरिका में जो LGBT का चल रहा है, राइट? सो कौम लूत में भी तो लूत अलैहिस्सलाम की बीवी ने यही किया था ना कि चुप करके सब देखा था. We like, अगर हम यहाँ रहते हैं, we can't fight, we can prepare our generation, but we can just go out and talk about this to people कि ये गलत है. How we gonna, if you say that कि आप इन countries में रहें और अपनी generation तैयार करें, but how we gonna fight with the economy? Like ultimately हमारे बच्चे बड़े होके इसी system का part बनेंगे, interest पे गाड़ियाँ लेंगे, interest पे घर लेंगे. So like ultimately they're gonna fall in the trap. LGBT को accept कर लेंगे. So हम क्या चुप करके देखते रहें कि ये जो हो रहा है, होने दें उसको और अपने बच्चों को कुरान पढ़ाएं, हदीस पढ़ाएं and अपने बच्चों की personality strong बनाएं. That's it. अपने घर तक रहें.
मुझे तो अभी तक ये समझ नहीं आती कि I'll tell you something. What I don't really understand is when this whole LGBT thing is going on, where is the church and the masjid? Well, okay, you know what? I'll tell you something. I'll know where the church is. No, I'll tell you where the church is. The church did show a lot of resistance. And you'll see the Bible. Where are you from right now?
Sorry, Brampton, Canada.
Well, you know the Bible Belt. Those states, you're not going to see a lot of LGBT there. Okay?
Yeah.
Kentucky, Virginia. Well, I'm going a little north. You go south to Florida, go back to, Texas. The whole Bible Belt. I'm just drawing the triangle right now. You're not going to see much of LGBT. Why do you think that they're not going to? Of course, the law is the law, right? But you'll see that they're going to show visible resistance. Not enough. Of course, not enough. Paul has really castrated everybody in their own Bible Belt. Okay. Still, they're going to, they're going to show resistance. I mean, they are still taking up the arms, right? What is
but
the first?
Sir, church के बाहर तो खुद flags लगे हुए हैं. The rainbow flags, they're outside.
Yeah, I know. Of course. You'll see a lot different kinds of churches. What I'm saying is that's the only loud voice that came out of America. But there is no masjid that came all out, all guns blazing, that, you know what, enough is enough. We're also US citizens. We need to fight this head on.
But like, कब तक?
Not even intellectually, not even intellectually. I remember, I'm just going out of a limb here. Okay. Don't quote me anywhere. What am I talking about? This is a live session. I'm sorry. But when this Orlando shooting happened, I was on tour. I was actually traveling because of my own reasons, and I was in Toronto. And this Orlando, remember the Orlando shooting? Yeah. So this American religious cleric comes in and volunteers a session. He's doing this Jummah khutbah, and all he's doing is, you know what? I'll tell you something. We're all sons of Adam. We're Muslims. I mean, that's how you start. Why are you volunteering to talk about this incident? Who told you to do that? You're talking about Surah Kahf right now. Surah Kahf, or whatever that surah's today's topic was, that day's topic was. And all of a sudden, he just tangents out and talks about this Orlando shooting, and there are brothers, and they're... Dude, I get the fact that you're in America and you're trying to do something here, but don't go out on the limb just to try and make a point that Islam is for this sort of tolerance. Islam is not. No,
let me clarify. I'm coming from like मेरी एक जो पूरी बहन भाइयों की generation है वो यहाँ बड़ी हो चुकी है. Like I'm not coming from कि मैं नहीं आई हूँ, or like I have seen my brothers, my siblings यहाँ पे वो बड़े हुए हैं. When they go for Jummah, right? But they do everything else too. Because Jummah के खुतबे में they're not interested. उनको समझ ही नहीं आता कि हो क्या रहा है. मस्जिदों को सिर्फ उनको बड़ी मस्जिद बनानी है, अच्छा कारपेट चाहिए, that's all. वो खुद करप्ट हैं जो वहाँ के जो हैं, आप उनको कह लें कि जो इंस्टीट्यूट यहाँ खुले हुए हैं, मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहती, but they themselves are supporting everything. वो कह रहे हैं जो हो रहा है होने दो. So like, what should be the way? ऐसे religious families हैं, आप उनके बच्चे देखें and you'll be like कि यार ये इन्हीं के बच्चे हैं.
Well, I'll tell you something. These Muslim clerics are not going to do it. Then parents should come to the make their own clusters, use their own conference rooms, book their own conference, start the movement. This is how it starts. How do you think this presidential campaign starts? Door to door. How do you think Jehovah's Witness is working in what part of Canada are you from?
Toronto, sir.
Okay, well, Toronto is heavily infested with, well, shouldn't use that word. But it is infested with.
Everyone is capitalist.
No. Okay, listen. No, that's everybody. Okay, capitalism and activism can go hand in hand. Can't blame capitalism for LGBT. Okay, you need to admit where the stick is broken. The stick is broken inside the masjid. I remember I was in a debate in ISNA conference once in Toronto. And LGBT was like, coming up around the corner. And, this is 2006, 7, 8 I'm talking about. So, of course, there were gays and lesbians, since 1980s, officially. But LGBT was a little bit of a discussion. And they'd call in everybody. And people were very vocal about this. Very, very vocal about this. And all of a sudden, when it was legalized, these Muslims just died out, it just went out because the law is the law. We're law-abiding citizens. Dude, well, I'm not trying to tell you to break the law. I'm trying to tell you to change the law. Where is the movement to change the law? Where is the resistance? If Martin Luther King thought like this, you would have had a totally different flavor of LGBT now. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're talking about. I'm just asking, like, they're okay. मान लिया कि उन सब ने accept कर लिया, ठीक है? वो खुतबों में भी hide कर रहे बातें. Like, I alone can fight for myself, for my kids, but मैं सबके घरों में जाके नहीं बदल सकता.
No, सबके घर का जिम्मा आपका नहीं है, आपका बस काफी सारे घरों से start. First drop of the rain. Okay, now listen. I spoke to this Egyptian scholar who is, closest masjid in my house in Etobicoke. I was in Etobicoke. And it's a big masjid, you know what I'm saying? It's a big Jami masjid. And this time around, 2012, 13, no, 16, I remember. I was on a 3-month tour. And I was talking about this LGBT thing with this. At that time, Obama had newly legalized, gay marriage or LGBT, right? I don't know what Biden did now. But whatever was left by Obama, Biden completed the whole, scroll of evil. So I spoke to this scholar who, he's the imam of the masjid, like, well, what are we doing about this? And you know what he said? First thing he came out of his mouth was, but it's legalized now. Like, so that's your barrier of entry? Unless it's illegal, you're not going to talk about this? Who died and made you the imam of a masjid? Come on. Your job is to talk about things which are now legal, but illegal in Islam and legal in Canada. I'm not saying to pick up the arms. I'm saying start using the brains. Every law was changed by a certain community which thought better around the law.
So
the church did that a million times. I'm just use the masjid, hijack all the masjid's intellect. People come there, start gathering people and start making that noise. This is how it works. Be civil and be deadly, like deadly intellectual, like lethally aggressive intellectually, but be civil socially. You need to understand in Canada, you're living in Toronto, and a 9-year-old now, I don't know, maybe they reduced it to 7 now. Last time I checked, it was 9-year-old. A boy is going to call the police and let the hormonal blockers and surgery can be done on him because he feels like a girl.
No.
Yeah, of course. It was on in 2013, 14. I was there and I was like, oh my God, Mr. Trudeau, you want to take initiative? I mean, who are you trying to please?
So there's no option like we can just escape from all this? Like I'm not saying like I don't want to do something. Yes, I want to do something, but it's not possible when I see कि इमाम खुद जो है वो finance और lease की गाड़ियों में आ रहे हैं और सूद के घरों में रह रहे हैं. I won't be influenced by such people. I tried.
No, you're looking at it from a wrong perspective. It doesn't matter who's not doing it. What matters is who is doing it. And if you're just feeling it, you're not doing something about it, and I'm sorry, you're the one to be blamed too. Feeling bad is not going to cut it in a global communities like Canada. Canada is global. Whatever you're going to do, people are going to follow. You're up on the waterfall. Okay. A lot of countries like Pakistan is downstream. Whatever's going to happen in Toronto is going to happen in Islamabad. You need to understand that. So you need to set examples. You need to see being in North America is responsibility for all Muslims. Okay. It's not a luxury. It's a responsibility. Being in Maldives or let's just say Pakistan or Indonesia or Malaysia. I mean, name any 2 scholars from Malaysia. Can you do that? No, you can't. They're not upstream. They're way downstream. You need to know what kind of responsibility American Muslims and English Muslims have. Whatever you're going to do, all Muslims are going to follow. And I've seen Muslim clerics joining the walk of LGBT, with trying to show solidarity and inclusiveness and whatnot. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I know what you're trying to chase. I get it. But don't use the masjid for it. So this is how it's going to corrupt everybody. And
so if we work like that, if we make cluster, so हमारे जो बच्चे हैं, for example, हमारा group of बन गया cluster, we are working on it. We will be able to save our kids from the trap.
Yeah, that's the only way to act, because your daughter's going to know that your mother represents something. Gold roti ke liye to nahi hai na. Most Muslim girls know that their mother represents gold roti only.
No, I'm not one of that. I'm not.
No, I'm not saying don't migrate out of the kitchen. What I'm saying is, what do you represent? What's your brand? What did you do? Only an activist is going to raise a Muslim child. A pacifist is not going to raise a Muslim child. Someone else is going to raise a pacifist's Muslim child. Could be any celebrity who's going to be watching YouTube, because you're actually handing your kids over to those people.
I got it. Jazakallah.
Yeah. Usama, where are the boys? Why am I talking to girls? Where are the boys? Danish, assalamu alaikum. Muhib, assalamu alaikum. Yeah, that's a good thing you guys are trying to do. Put country's name there. Norway. Well, it's still late in Norway. Norway. What's your name? Norway.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu
alaikum, sir.
Assalamu.
Okay, you can take the question first from him.
Sir, I'm from Norway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Sir, my name is Azam. I recently moved to Norway for higher education. Masters के लिए मैं इधर आया हूँ. तो मुझे सर 1-2 सवाल है आपसे ना, रिगार्डिंग ये कि आपका एक बिल्कुल एक नैरेटिव है कि अल्लाह के लिए मतलब जो अल्लाह ताला करते हैं कोई तुक्का नहीं होता. तो जब से मैं इधर आया हूँ तो मुझे 1-2 महीने से ना ये चीज हो रही है कि जो मुझसे लोग मिल रहे हैं तो उनको मतलब मेरा काम है उन तक इस्लाम पहुंचाना, कि कल को आखिरत में अल्लाह ताला मुझे सवाल कर लें कि तुमने अपने दोस्तों में इस्लाम की रिप्रेजेंटेशन क्यों नहीं की और इन्होंने आपसे मतलब आपने इनके लिए क्या किया. तो मुझे ये सवाल था और दूसरा अफगानिस्तान के बारे में सवाल था कि आप
पूछे.
अफगानिस्तान के बारे में ये था कि आप बोल रहे थे कि वहाँ खिलाफत आई है. तो रिसेंटली मैंने न्यूज़ देखी है, वो आपकी बात सही है कि न्यूज़ में बहुत सारी नेगेटिव चीज़ दिखाई जाती है जो आपको दिखाया जा रहा है. तो अभी रिसेंटली उन्होंने यूनिवर्सिटी में लड़कियों की तालीम पे बैन कर दिया है, तो उस पर आपका क्या ख्याल आता है? Thank
Well,
you.
two things. I've been to Afghanistan, okay, so many times now, and I was supposed to be flying tomorrow. By the way, I couldn't go this time around. I have to meet a lot of people there. I'm meeting a lot of people, and I've seen girls going to school myself. I've asked them what's going on. They said we're taking 3 steps process. It's a stepwise process. Step 1, we had to make sure that whatever curriculum was being taught in the universities and colleges, especially schools, we had to change that, which is a good step. I'm not for that education system. They're still going to adopt this polluted education system because that's what, I can't just change that. It's going to take a long time. But now girls are going to school. I've seen girls going to school because they changed the curriculum. And then now they're going to take up girls, universities going to school. Otherwise, they don't stop girls from studying or reading books. Now, they are going to do that. And ironically, that's the first question a friend of mine asked, because I didn't even know that. Because I see girls going to school, I'm thinking everyone's going to school, right? And I'm not even talking about Kabul. So Kabul is way ahead of the game. So yeah, that's fake news. Fake news. But there's so many things that they have not changed, and they are planning to. They're planning to change that. They have not changed. But this time their stance is a little too lenient, even for my own liking. I'm like, what are you doing? Millions and millions of Muslims everywhere is trying to, sniff out the sense of Khilafah from you guys. And I'm like, yeah, we know, but of course they're not kids, okay? They know what they're doing, but I have my own differences of the way they could have approached. I am looking at it from a Western perspective of how Western definitions of resistance to certain regimes is set up. And they don't have more than a couple of decades, if they're lucky. Otherwise, in this very decade, the global resistance is going to reset and, come and try and take them over again. Not through arms primarily, but could be. Okay. So, because, it's not viable. I mean, what do you think is going on in Israel and Palestine? What do you think is the big vote for Israel in North America? Well, they're the only practicing democracy in the Arabian, whatnot. Okay. So you're going to go and try and bomb every place which has no democracy? What is that all about? Well, that's their first entry, their visible entry, the apparent entry, apparent reason for entry. Otherwise, we know what their agenda is. So this is another bomb in the making of, whatever's going to happen. It's going to blow. It's going to blow. And I am not just the only one. I am very loud, but I'm not the only one who's going to keep telling them. I am telling them that, this time, make sure you prepare a lot more bunkers and a lot more factories, because they're going to come every time. And it's not just them. Everyone should be doing that. Okay. And, but that news is so far from the truth. And I'm actually, not for that. I wish a lot of that news should have been true, not all of it. I am pro education. Every Muslim is supposed to, be educated, well educated, far more educated than anybody else. But in other realms, I was assuming that they're gonna. Okay, let me just give you an example. They first abolished this legal system, and there are no lawyers in Afghanistan right now. Nobody can be a lawyer. Okay, any case has to be settled within 48 hours, unless it's a financial property agreement case. 20 days. You know what that ministry is called? That ministry is called Amar bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. No lawyers. Anybody is going to come in, is going to fight his own case. The Qadi is going to do whatever he's supposed to do in the light of the Quran and the Sirah. You need to understand, they know where the corruption is. In Pakistan, the most corrupt people ever, you can see, bottom of the barrel, lawyers, people of the law. Right on top of them, judges. On top of them, the police. That's the bottom of the barrel I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So they knew where to hit. They did that. They did that. But it's going to take a little while. But you'll be amazed as to. I see women I've seen girls, women, everywhere. Well, not as much as I would like to see them, but there, this is you'll be amazed as to how open that culture is compared to what I see, or we all see or hear about. Okay. Gee, India. Last question, please. Last question, India.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalam, and just keep it in English, please.
Yeah, sure, sir. So my question is, what if any of the parents harass their own kids mentally or physically, as a viewer or saying, so means how can I help them means to avoid that mental issues to kids?
You mean you are the mother?
No, actually, I'm a mother of two, but still I'm talking about not about myself or my family. I'm talking about the society when they harass their kids. So I feel I'm not helping them. So just
आप हिंदी में बताएं.
नहीं सर, ऐसे पेरेंट्स को हम कैसे बताएं कि जो आप बच्चों के साथ कर रहे हैं
वो जनरल पेरेंट्स को.
जी जनरली बता रही हूँ.
तो बताएं ना उनको. Tell them the kind of damage the human brain goes through and the whole psychology, the mind goes through, which is psychology. बताएं ना उनको. साइंस खोलें, किताबें बताएं उनको. ये देखो क्या कर रहे हो.
Sir,
see, if people would see the psychological diseases just like other organs of the body, if people could just see them, people would just run away from each other. That's how devastating psychological disorders are. But people just, since we cannot see them, that's why we just, take them for granted and go a lot more casual about them. So show them what that real problem is. Okay, unless you show them, you're not gonna give them case study. Show them those scenarios of how devastation. What kind of devastation are we looking at? Okay, show them those suicides, those runaways, those self-loathing kids end up doing. Okay, you need to show them, otherwise nahi kaam nahi hone wala hai. Okay, especially India mein. India is far more thicker than Pakistan. Pakistan phir thoda light hai, itna nahi hai. I'm stretching it. Both is thick hai Pakistan bhi. India is too thick, very dense in terms of they're stuck to बड़ा ritual. अभी तक गीता डिक्टेट कर रही है मुसलमानों के घरों को भी इंडिया में. I've seen that a lot. गीता से निकालना पड़ेगा मुसलमानों को. But कहने का क्या मतलब है कि वो जो कल्चर चला आ रहा है ना, they're gonna keep practicing it and they're not gonna listen to anything. वो साइंस, तुम क्या बच्चे पागल समझते हो? हमारे साइकोलॉजी, मेरे बच्ची पागल है क्या? This is the kind of taboo that they have around psychology. So make sure you understand. You're gonna show them pictures. This is the least you can do now. Yeah, and make sure you're gonna understand. They're gonna throw stones at you, but you're a Muslim. Take that hit. Take that hit. It's okay. You're gonna do the right thing. Geez, Hadia.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I already have posed my two questions. One is regarding Arabic classes. My daughter left Arabic classes, so I just send you the personal, private message. And the other question is that while we are helping, doing volunteer work somewhere, and we are trying to help the people, do we need to have that intention like we are trying to make them Muslims? Because I was reading somewhere, Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, he helped a woman and then he saw she's wearing a cross. And he just asked her, why don't you become a Muslim? And that woman, she didn't answer and she looked at him and she walked away. And Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, he was thinking for many days what he had done. So like in Indonesia and Malaysia, people became Muslim because of the way Muslims were fair in their trades. So my question is that, do we need to, while we are helping
that story about Umar Khattab is it's a very interesting story. When he asked that girl, have you read the story or you heard it?
No, I read it.
Yeah, so what happened? do you know what happened? What did Umar Khattab, how do you know Umar Khattab did this? He told somebody, right?
He told the woman.
No, after that, the woman left. Then he came in and he repented. He was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then he said something to a companion of the Prophet ﷺ.
I don't remember that part.
Okay, well, the question is, the answer to your question is, whatever deed we do is so that people can become Muslims, but we cannot force them, okay? You need to
No,
understand.
like the situation came, I was helping in, there was a fire in Australia and I was totally in the area where there were so many non-Muslim and I was only hijabi girl there. There were Muslim boys working there as well. And they came to me and they said, oh, you are presenting Muslim and it's giving the positive influence and people will become Muslim. And I just looked at him and I said, okay, I didn't know about that. I just came to help. Because there are so many people died in fire and their children were suffering and there was a lot going on. Like,
No, well, you just came to help for the sake of helping people.
for
Not to
sake of
please
Allah,
God.
or sake
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
sake of Allah. So you're trying to get them to be Muslim because you're doing it for Allah Azza wa Jal, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, that's called making people Muslims. Because, what else do you think is called making people come into
The
closer
guy
to
just
Allah?
asked Christian previously and he said how we can do dawah. So that is the dawah in a way then.
That is the best dawah. The best dawah is actions. Secondary dawah is words and lectures. Okay? Okay. So it's a good question though. Okay, I think we're okay. I'm just gonna have to take this Vancouver question. I'm sorry, I'm just a little too much of a fan of the Canucks. Go on, Gee, Vancouver.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam.
Bavaria here.
Ji, Javeria.
Acha, I have two questions. It has to do more with psychology. So one is regarding narcissism and narcissistic relationships. The impact it can have for people who are, related to people who has this particular condition. And what does Islam say in terms of what really is this condition and how to deal
Well,
with any individual who's
what do you
into
think
it?
narcissism is? Define. I want to know what you call narcissism.
For me, I think people are very self-obsessed, very entitled, have a very, subliminal or an insidious way of, getting their things done through you, whatever they need, on a social level or at a personal level.
No, that's not narcissism. That's deeper. Narcissism is deeper. You're just giving me a lot of symptoms. The sense that I am above other people. That's narcissism.
Yeah, so they're very self-obsessed and they just want to prove themselves to be very
Self-obsessed.
correct.
Listen. Self-obsessed is another outer layer. That's a symptom of narcissism. The sense of you thinking that you are above other people. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's narcissism. That's it. Don't confuse. Nothing else. Okay.
All right.
Now, what I was going to do about this is just another, output of, narcissism. But that's not narcissism. Narcissism is their heightened sense of their own importance. Okay? You get that?
So what does Islam say how to deal with these people? And of course, I would like you to also comment on how does that even impact, people around them?
It's a killer. I think it's one of the worst things that can happen to any relationship. Especially if you're a girl and your husband turns out to be a narcissist, you have two problems in your hand now. Okay, you have two problems. Now, I'm not saying if your wife is a narcissist and you got no problem. Of course, you got a big problem. But if your husband is a narcissist, you got two problems. That's how, academically you have to look at it because you're already dependent on so many things. And now this guy has his heightened sense of self-importance. That's a big problem. That's two problems. Because he's already making out all the money. He's making ends meet. He's the provider. and all of a sudden he thinks he's got a claim on your self-esteem. That's a yes. Whoa, you're not a property of anybody in Islam. You need to understand that. Nobody is a property of anybody. We are all the property of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay. So unless you're trained to understand that concept, everybody should be a narcissist around you. I'm going to repeat this. If you do not have that concept properly grounded inside your personality, then everyone is naturally going to seem like or even act like a narcissist around you. We are such self-loathers. We have absolutely no self-esteem. We draw like we're just carpets for other people to just run over us, and then we start calling them narcissists. No, most people are not narcissists. We just do not have enough self-esteem. I'm not saying that this in your case. What I'm saying is, understand, you are not going to fix a narcissist with low self-esteem. It takes a lot of confrontation and a lot of feedback, and in different angles. You got to knock some sense into his head, and which means different situations, when he's vulnerable, when he's not, when he's at its peak, when he's when he's showing some empathy. Most of the time he's not going to show empathy, but okay. So we have a problem. When you're a girl and your husband's a narcissist, you got problems by the tons now, because the kids are going to be going through that problem. And most girls, what they do is they actually go into a shell. They try and avoid. And well, most people, they see that trained ke koi masla avoid kiya karo ya, avoid kiya karo. You know, you cannot avoid a psychological disorder and expect to fix it. It's like you know what, mujhe flu ho gaya, to main tumhe main avoid karunga. I get that. Flu should be avoided. It's contagious. Mujhe koi corona ho gaya, yeah, I'm going to avoid you and it's going to get better. Yeah. But mujhe narcissism hai, mujhe avoid kiya karo, then no. You're gonna go through a bigger problem. This is not a virus.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are also times, there's certain personality traits of these people which are very obvious. And then there are times they're just so insidious. There's a term that has been coined, I've been reading on it. It's called covert.
Yeah.
Or malignant, whatever. I think it's covert. And
yeah.
that is, it's so undercover. And sometimes you have to really,
stealth.
Yeah, you have to really go deep to really, understand. So generally, I mean, you do eventually also find out. And it can be, even with a husband or your own child, your own parents. So there are different relationships. Let's just put it that way. In Islamic way, I just feel it's not completely fixable. What does Islam say for people or even for conditions like this? From that angle, how to look at it?
No, kibr is a very well-defined disease in Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kibr, And you need to understand, unless you train your kids what kibr is, and arrogance is, bigotry is, and self-centeredness is, and how does it start, what kind of symptoms you can see, if it is manifesting in your child or whoever, doesn't matter. Then for kids, you need to train them on receiving feedback and doing something about it. Two steps. Not only that, they have to be open for feedback, but you got to check up on whether they're going to do something to fix whatever feedback says that they need to fix, no matter who's giving the feedback. Okay. Now, there is a little bit of a threshold here. You cannot just take all the feedback from everybody. You need to see who's qualified to do that, but that's a caution. But what I'm saying is, unless you train your kids to know what feedback is and what the value of feedback is, and that step 2 of what is the action that you're going to take on after you get the feedback to fix what is broken, then you are harboring narcissists. Narcissism only comes in when you do not have what it takes to understand what a feedback is and how to receive it gracefully and do something about it. Okay.
No, they're just triggered. They're just triggered, even in good faith. If any feedback is given, a person who's going through, narcissism or whatever that you call it, condition or a syndrome, whatever, they're just too sensitive to receiving any kind of feedback, even in good faith.
Yeah, well, that is why they're narcissists.
What makes them so?
They did not get
Childhood
enough.
traumas.
Well, mostly this is I'm not going to say parenting, lack of parenting. Well thought out. No value system, no fairness. Value system is sitting on the scale of fairness, right? The balance of fairness. When you break that balance, you're gonna be harboring narcissism. Every child of yours, because whoever's gonna get that kind of a power over his own siblings or his friends, or I'm talking about kids, he's gonna naturally start to think that, you know what, since I'm better, that's why I'm getting all of this. No, it's not the reason why you're getting all of this. Your father is not a well-balanced human being. That's why you're getting better than or bigger piece of the pie than your own siblings. You shouldn't do that. But since you're going to do that to your son or your daughter, or whatever, or you keep calling your daughter pretty and,
Yeah.
you keep, it's called, keep forgetting, we're honoring certain traits which have nothing to do with the value system of the human community, and we keep honoring that attribute. For example, looks. For example, the height of a boy. For example, the tone of the skin. For example,
The social structure, where they come from, and
not just the
that
social
could also
structure,
be.
but yeah. But in the big picture, you can see these cracks caused by these people because they were given it's called the profile. Okay, and for now I'm going to call it the profile. You profile a person from attributes and definitions which are plastic, and they're going to cause that cancer. And this girl is going to devastate the rest of the people because she thinks she's better than the other people because she looks better. Okay, and this boy is going to think he's better because he looks better, and that's something that we all do unintentionally. Well, carelessly is the right word. We carelessly do that to our kids, and we are harboring narcissism. We're just sowing the seed for narcissism, and just one way of doing it. And the other way is doing it, when you give them enough power over their siblings for no reason, enough rotating that power around the siblings, and you actually take one person on trial, or maybe this guy never goes on trial inside his own house, regardless of whatever complaint siblings are giving against him or her. You know what I'm saying? So this is how narcissism is actually brewed into your child. And most of the narcissists are carrying it through their first 12 years, even though they manifest it in early 30s when they're fully in power socially. Then they actually, jump into the driving seat and they bulldoze their wives and kids.
Can they be fixed? Do you think this is treatable?
Yeah. People, remorse and repentance is abundantly visible in so many people, and because of whatever spiritual ways that they actually gone through, or direct feedback, or struggles that because narcissists struggle, right? I mean, just because you're the fairest girl in the house does not gonna get you promoted at work. You know what I'm saying?
No, what about an adult who has
I'm talking about the
time?
adult. I'm talking about the adult girl who is a narcissist, is just going to get her first job, and she's naturally going to expect the first promotion because she's like the alpha of the house, and all of a sudden she's going to get mistreated according to her at work, and she's going to complain and cry about it in the cafeterias and coming back home that I'm being treated unfairly, even though she's getting that fair treatment for the first time because of her bad mommy who never did give her the right treatment. And that's when she's going to start to suffer from the next job and the next job. And then she's going to realize that, you know what? World is not what my mother told me to be, the way my mother described it. World is set on different scales. Now she gets getting firsthand knowledge of what fairness is. And that's how they actually, do some minor adjustments. And that's when they start to inevitably get used to the feedback. Because so many people can't be wrong, right? So the power that the boss had at work, the mother had a lot more power. She just misused it, or didn't use it. And that boss had that power, and he didn't care whether she's pretty or not. He was like, "Ma'am, you're gonna get me in trouble because you're not gonna perform. I'm gonna be in trouble by the end of the year." So I'm just giving you an example here of a girl. Everybody goes through different walks of life, and people don't treat you the way your mothers or fathers are treating you, and then you start to make minor adjustments. Boys do it sooner than girls, but boys are not, I mean, there's no clean formula for getting cleansed just like that. You got to go through that.
And what about the people around them? What kind of armor should they put on to be the least affected?
Well, they should not be carrying. Well, you see, armor is to defend, right? You need to actually offend that person through feedback. And I'm talking about offending that person because he's going to get offended by the right feedback. That's why he's a narcissist. He's
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So armor is just for your own defense. You need an armor. Yeah, I get that. But you're not going to fix him through your armor. You're going to fix him through your sword, right? Which is your feedback.
You need to keep sane in the process too, no?
Well, yeah, that's a given. But you need to make him sane, because of course. So yeah, you're getting the whole concept here. You need to be a little more courageous and try and knock him down in many ways so that he can actually understand.
If I just may, I just add something more because, as I said, I have
that
two
12-year-old
questions.
girl. I hope you listen to Aima, that little girl who was getting bullied. Yeah, same formula. You got to show resistance and you got to stand up for yourself. Simple. Yeah, narcissism is bullying, nothing else.
So I'm in Vancouver, BC, right? So and this is where the whole, I mean, if you look into the history of things, LGBT has actually really started from this region, in this area. Now, I just walked to the principal of my daughter's school. She's 5 and she has autism, and the other one is 7. And I went into the school just to kind of, ask, what, if there is this program that you have. I understand the district has already mandated it. What are the practices that are happening? And they were quite not okay to share much information. And then I was called by the principal to have a discussion on it. He gave me a whole presentation on the whole thing. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that many parents are not even aware what's happening in the schools under this particular banner. And here they have a curriculum as well, which is called Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity, SOGI, which the teachers can use at their discretion, however way they want to, introduce inclusion in school. So my question was, while I'm having those conversations with them and having a meeting after winter break as well, my twist or my spin to the whole thing is that they're too young. If I have to be an activist, I'm going to go to the district and talk about it. But school has a policy and they have to implement it. So my daughter is young. I think their brains are not so mature. I have a religious obligation as well because that's what I practice. We're practicing Muslims, and there's certain lines that we cannot cross. So how is it that the school can help in including these children who have this particular religious limitation as well, I would say, and then of course an age bracket. What do you think from an age perspective? Because eventually a child would know, even if you're telling them correctly that this is something that's not correct, these are not our values. What is the right age for them to be exposed to a concept which is very prevalent around them in school, the parents, the friends that they have? It's sexual orientation and gender identity. This is something by policy, they're not even, they cannot even opt out. So they might just have to leave school if even if I put that up with them that, I just don't want my child to be exposed to this kind of information. Sex ed is something different.
I know, but you gotta actually train your own kids your own way. And
exactly.
Before the school does. You got to do it before the school does. That's how it's going to be. In America, in Canada, in England, in Australia, you have got to do it a day before they do. Okay.
So my question is, I just feel they're too young to be told about this.
But they're going to inevitably do it anyway. So it's not about the age anymore. It's about the timing now. Okay.
Any tips?
Do it before they do. That's the only tip.
So how to break that to them?
Girls talk to their mothers and boys talk to their daddies. That's how it's going to be.
Thank
That's
you.
how it's gonna be. Yeah, you gotta do it though. But you know what? They're gonna do it 2 years, 3 years sooner than what I would.
Mm.
But still, you're gonna do it. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, but you gotta do it because they're gonna do it anyway.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Gee, let me just talk to. Gee, Saf. I need to pick a boy. Saf. S-A-E-F. Saf. No, no, Saf. Don't want to talk. Okay. 5-second rule, Saf. Last call.
हेलो
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम और साहिल भाई कैसे हैं आप खैरियत से
Alhamdulillah, just keep it in English. Try and keep it in English. People don't know Urdu where we are actually trying to. Yeah. Where are you from, sir?
I'm from India,
What part of India?
North of India.
Okay. Go on, sir. What's your question?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay. So I'm just picking out people from the chat room. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay. No problem. Let me just pick out somebody who's got a question.
Okay. All the best.
Yeah, thanks. Last question, Virginia, please. 2:30.
Assalamualaikum, Sal bhai.
Assalamu alaikum. Virginia. What's your name, sir?
Yes. Name is Saqib. I want to start SAQIB.
Saqib. Okay, Saqib ji.
Yes, sir. Ji. Wanted to start by thanking you for what you have done. I've been listening to you for a while now, and one of the person that I can swear by brought significant change in my process of thinking and how should we look at things, being we all, most of us probably brought up all confused. And I've been in the States for a little over 30 years in so many different ways. I mean, I'm 51, so chances for me making any big change are pretty much done. But I'm trying to raise our kids the best way possible that I can. And one of the questions that I had, continuing on to the conversation that you were having about the definition of being narcissist or self-centered person, and you mentioned that it's not wise to tell our children that they look good or they that kind of feeds into their wrong personality. But what if a child has confidence issue? I am blessed with 3 kids. One is 14, who's a boy, and 12 is a girl. And then we have a 7 years old who's also a boy.
So there are three different layers which we wrap around the child, which actually makes them lose confidence. Now you're gonna know when you started to put layers around that child, and that's just how it is. Now, I do not have any data, nor do we have the time to go through that detail, but let me give you the basic formula. Expose him, exposure, he's gonna get confidence anyway. Later on in life, hopefully he will. But you can help and expedite this by giving him exposure yourself, wherever he lacks, and you gotta profile that child because you know his skills and you know his senses and knowledge, and you're gonna help him gain as if you are the coach. We are the coaches of our own athletes, which are our kids. We know where they lack and we know where they're weak. You gotta make them practice. You know what I'm saying? So this is how confidence is built. Confidence is not innate. Confidence has to be built. That's the one thing that is not innate. You need to understand that. Confidence is constructed through whatever exposure we get, and we keep practicing whatever we like, and we become better. And we think, whatever that skill could be. could be anything. And we profile our whole system around that one activity or that one aspect of our life. Everybody does, because it's a matter of our self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? We bring everybody to our home ground to play so that we can play better, because our home ground is where we play the most and we won the most. Okay. So it's that simple. You got to understand the profile of the child, read him out, and analyze, x-ray that child. Where is he weak? And you got to make him work tediously. Okay. You make sure you do that. This is because he's not going to do that with anybody else with that kind of sincerity that you have for him. People are going to give up on him. I'm telling you this right now. His school coach, his university, his professors, his friends, they're going to give up on him. Nobody's going to put that kind of force and grunt it out day in, day out. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that. You need to know where is he lacking. It's a good question. You need to understand how important this is. And I see a lot of people who just read their kids and they're like, you know what? My kid is not confident and there's something wrong. And they jump right into genetics. It's like, what kind of books have you been reading? Since when did we read confidence is genetic? Confidence is not genetic. Confidence is not even innate. You cannot just care about my confident father is the reason I'm so confident. That's absolutely absurd. Okay. So you got to construct confidence through kind of activities you're exposed to. We call it the profile. We call it the victory profile, actually. You need that one victory, no matter where it is, what it is. Okay. Once you get that victory, the child, latches onto it and, he's the alpha. He tries to bring everybody to that sport so that he can win again. That's how he develops his self-worth and self-esteem and whatever it is. I'm talking about 3-year-olds. I'm talking about 4-year-olds. Okay. And you can see that pattern in your kids, and you can find out that, you know what, every child is trying to bring everybody to his own sport, girls and boys. So you need to get that boy into that sport, find it out. You need to find that sport, and you're gonna make him practice that sport. Okay, that's how.
Got it. Yes, sir. Well, one more question, if I may, please.
You can ask the question if it's a lengthy answer. I'm gonna skip it. It's a quick one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
On the same note, our 7 years old, he's a bit on the other side. He has this attitude of demanding attention all the time. So whatever.
Before I'm sorry. Before I let you, there's this another aspect. You see a lot of kids who are not good looking and very low confidence is shown in their studies, just because the kid is fat and short or dark. You can see that, and then you just keep blaming that this child is lacking confidence because he's not apparently good looking or he's overweight or whatever. And parents do that. That's absurdity at its peak. There's a difference between self-worth and confidence. Low self-worth, people with low self-worth are confident in so many things. Okay, they do a lot of things and they know they're the best at it, maybe even in the world. Okay, different things. So confidence is not based on, it's called self-worth. That's a personality trait. Confidence is a relationship between you and that activity or whatever that role is, that role that you're going to be in. Could be anything. So self-worth is treated differently. Okay, don't confuse confidence with self-worth. Okay, different remedies, different formulas. Go on with the next question, sir. You were asking.
He demands a lot of attention where he feels that he needs to be in part of every single conversation, even though the conversation is not being done with him. And also, whatever the conversation is about, he has to jump in and ace that matter. Like, oh yeah, I've done it too, Dad. I did it yesterday. I did it with my friends. Come up to a level where he starts making stuff up, and I see that as a red flag. So my question is, if it is a red flag at 7 years old boy, what can I do? What should I do to fix it?
Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of I need a lot more data. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and in the next session, let me just start with you so that we can get a lot more data in, or you can just voice note it or email it to me.
Yes, and Salva, once again,
Just don't shoot in the air, okay? Unless you have a very deep diagnosis about this. Yeah.
right, I'm not going to, but God bless you. May Allah give you more
God bless you.
strength, and may Allah, may Allah make you successful in every single way that you're doing. You have definitely changed the way I have lived, and I've looked at things, and inshallah, all for better. And may Allah bring us all together in next life, inshallah.
Ameen, Ameen. Thank you for the prayer, sir.
Thank
Keep
you.
praying. Yeah,
Thank you.
just
Allah
hold
Hafiz.
on. Yeah, it's just keep. Let's not praise each other. Let's stop. But I know what you mean. May Allah
Yeah,
bless
no,
you. Yeah, I know what you mean, sir. Jazakallah khair. No, I mean, I know what you mean. The goodness of your heart is transcendent. Yeah, Allah Ta'ala
Thank
the
you.
comment.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you.
thank
Keep
you,
the
sir.
numbers
Thank
in your
you,
prayers.
everybody. I am just going to call it a night. Day in your place. This is just for North America. We're gonna be or now it's it's way past breakfast in Australia. So we are hitting both zones. This is the center of it. This is the worst possible time to do a session in Pakistan. I apologize. This is not a session for Pakistanis. You are going to see that recording on YouTube anyway. I hope this podcast-ish type of thing that we call a live session is helpful. We are trying to actually change the game here. We are trying to talk to teenagers and youth in places where they do not speak or understand Urdu so properly. So it's going to keep on continuing, inshallah, more than once a week, but at least once a week. And we're going to try and hit the weekends. Any questions about your kids, from your kids, about your kids, or even with your kids? You sit down and just let them talk to me, or write them down. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to get you the best answers from the experts. But don't stop the questions. Please do not stop kids from asking questions anymore. And they're not going to stop. They're just going to stop asking you. I promise you this. They're not going to stop. They're going to ask their closest peer or whoever they're more comfortable with. And that's the actual confidant and the role model, the mentor. I mean, it's very shameful that our own kids don't consider our own selves their mentors. It's pretty, I mean, it's not a rule that you should be the mentor, but you should be the first mental response of the child so that they can actually be more comfortable asking you questions. And it's not about you knowing the answers. Just because you know the answer doesn't mean he's going to get you that question. It's your attitude towards the child. Even if he knows you're not going to get answer is not going to come from you, but because of you, he's still going to keep asking you questions. Okay, that's how easy it is. Just be that kindest person and be that loving and most protective, secure person for that child, and he's going to ask you all the questions in the world. Okay, I am just going to call it a day. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any more questions, please write them down, send it to me via email, or just via email, or wait for the next session. I'm sorry for not taking everybody's questions. It's not possible. However, we're going to keep doing these sessions, inshallah. So I have till it's 2:45. Yes, 2:45. Yeah, I had till 2:30. So I'm 15 minutes over. Jazakallah khair for your patience. Make sure you understand we are doing it for our children. So make sure they're getting these sessions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.